Okay, I think we're on. So sorry about that. I had the wrong thing connected. And so thank you for those of you who pointed out that I have no sound. So that is, yeah, so I am able to hear myself now. So this is great. I am trying to do this on a couple of computers so I can see your comments and I can share the presentation that I have for you. So let me just back up a little bit because obviously you were not able to hear me. So again, thank you for being here. I am going to be presenting um, a very specific way of approaching creating your content for your business and really to spread your message. And I was sharing a little bit of my background. So I have been an educator for 20 years, so I bring that experience. I've also considered myself an early adopter for anything digital. So I started teaching online about 10 years ago and then started developing courses online. So I bring all of that experience in as well. And then, of course, I am a spiritual techpreneur is what I call myself. So anything technology and spirituality. So what I really strive to do is to connect both of these topics in a way that brings in my own special kind of unique perspective coming from education and from the technology world, and then also incorporating spirituality. So I hope you're going to see all of that in the presentation that I have for you and how I'm going to guide you through developing your content calendar for the next 3 months. So this is really designed to be a hands-on workshop. So what that means is that you want to make sure you have your tools around you. So have some paper, definitely have some pen because you are going to be writing. I am going to be giving you a download that you can use. So if you have a printer handy, then you'll be able to download that. Otherwise, you can just use your own paper and then follow along the PDF that I'm going to be providing for you. Also, like I said, it is a workshop format. So that means I'm going to cover some of the content and then give you an opportunity to really think through and start developing your content calendar. So before we develop a calendar, of course, we need to make sure that we have some background and we establish some foundation for what your content is going to be focusing on. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. So while I get started with this, I want you to go ahead and comment and let me know where you are watching this from. So where are you in the world, in the country? Where do you find yourself? And tell me a little bit about your business and the type of content that you want to create for your business. So what is your business? You're welcome to share the link to your website. If you have that handy, you can put that into the comments. And then also you can let me know what is the focus of your business, what is the service that you offer. You can also include anything else that if you're just starting out, how much experience do you have, and so on. So tell me a little bit about your business, because then I can use some of this knowledge as we're going through the workshop. I can use some of this information to present examples and to give you some guidelines kind of and guidance as to what you can do. So I hope that there is, and for some reason, I am not seeing that comments show up on my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to a different window and see if those are available to me. And so do please let me know if you are seeing or if you are hearing my audio now. So I know that I did get a couple of PMs on my audio. So I really appreciate you bringing or making me aware that the audio was not working. So I am going to go ahead and start the presentation and guiding you through the process. So one of the one of the things that I want to let you know is that my particular approach to developing a content calendar or any content is that it needs to be aligned with who we are. So first, of course, it's very important that we know and we come to understand ourselves. And so I work with the Akashic Records, and so that's one of the services that I offer my clients. But I have found that it's very instrumental that whatever it is that you're working on aligns with who you are, and not necessarily that you're following what a coach is telling you to do every step of the way if it's not in alignment. So we're going to be really discussing alignment as we go through this particular presentation. So one of the and I'm seeing that I am, so you're seeing me look up because I thought I was using a different camera. So that is the joys of live video and having using different technologies. So and I'm trying to pull up to see if we can, if you can hear. So can anyone hear me? Let me just double check and make sure that you can hear me. Okay, great. So I did get a comment that you can hear me, so that is great. So this is going to be very hands-on, like I said, and I can, it is going to take us at least 90 minutes because I will be giving you some opportunity to put some ideas down. Like probably at the end of the workshop, you may still need to go back and finalize and really schedule in, put dates and so on. But you'll really have the foundation for a content plan. And if you establish this foundation, this is a foundation that you can use every quarter. So the foundation that we're going to be looking at today doesn't necessarily change every time. And so for some reason, your comments are not showing up on my screen. So so I'm going to, when I take a little break talking after I've gotten you started, I'll go ahead and see if I can troubleshoot that, because I do want to make sure that I get your comments in here and that I respond to them, especially as we're going through the presentation. So let me go ahead and begin. So again, what we're working on today is a content calendar. So I'm going to take you through a process that I have developed using different techniques that I've learned in different places, and really putting ourselves at the center. And so what I am referring to here is basically what we're going to be looking at is a content strategy. So it's really no use for us to develop a calendar if there is no strategy behind that calendar. And so basically the strategy means that it's going to align with your goals, with what you want for your business. So that is where we're going to begin. And like I said, once we set the strategy and once we set the this foundation, then you can use it every time. So every quarter you can come back to this, and you may have to tweak, especially if you're new in your business, then there may be things that you may need to recalibrate, but much of this will end up staying the same. So let's first talk about why is a content strategy important. So what a content strategy does is that it helps you to articulate what your goals are, and it helps you stay focused. Now, depending on the type of individual that you are, you may need a lot of detail in your calendar, or you may need it to be more loose so that there's room for inspiration. So it is going to, when we talk about the strategy, we want to make sure that it's aligned with what we want to achieve in our business. So a lot of times when we don't have a content strategy, we're creating content just as stuff shows up for us day to day. And what that means is that there's no central focus and there's no momentum for that content that we are creating. So that's basically what that content strategy does for us. And so what I've developed and what I'm calling this is called the Flower of Business Life Marketing Strategy. And so we're really going to look at creating your content, your strategy for creating your content as a flower. So that's how I'm going to be presenting it. So I'm going to go ahead and review it so that you can get an overview of what it is that we're going to be covering. Again, I know as a teacher, I know that there's different types of learners in my audience. So some of you may be very visual, others may be more auditory. Some of you need to have a global sense of what's going to be going on versus others of you can follow if I just present it step by step. But because I know that there's going to be a variety of people in the workshop and following these steps, I wanted to make sure to cover as many people their learning styles as possible. So if you're one of those people that you're okay doing it linearly and step by step, just kind of sit back and enjoy the first part of the presentation. This is going to give you an overview of what I mean when I say the Flower of Life business or the Flower of Business Life Marketing Strategy. What do I mean when I say that? And then we're going to take it step by step. So here at the beginning, you can take some notes if you want, but you don't have to rush and apply because we're going to come to the application process after I give you an overview. So this is think of it like a very visual outline of what we're going to be doing. So here is the Flower of Business Life Marketing Strategy. This is what I'm talking about when I say that it's a flower of life. So we're going to be using this metaphor of having a center and then that everything comes out from that center. So that means that we always want to start with ourselves. We want to start with who am I, right? So when you have a business, and especially when you're a solopreneur, we almost always are developing that business because of a passion that we have. So that means that passion is central to us having our offers and connecting with clients. And so everything that we do in our business is going to be connected back to us. So one of the things that we're going to do is at the very beginning is think about, well, who am I? And we're going to go ahead and start with that. So we're going to start with, who are you? What makes you you? You know, what's your experience? What's your knowledge, your expertise, your worldview? So all of these questions we're going to be considering at the very beginning. So remember, you don't fret too much about writing all of this down because we'll get back to it with a lot more time so that you don't have to rush through it. And then the next part is, what is my message? So once I know who I am, I know what experience I'm bringing to my business, then what's my message? What is the core of what I want to communicate and that I want to share with my clients or with my audience? So here we want to consider keywords. You want to consider, especially if you're work with energy, you want to consider, well, what are the energies? What are the feelings? What are the I always come back to words because I'm 20 years as a writing teacher, so I come back to language. But what are those key words? What are those key phrases that denote what you want to focus on? And one of the things that this does, so again, I'm a writing teacher, so everything comes back to my experience at teaching writing. But basically, when you know what your message is, what that does is it creates unity among everything that you create. So whether it's within a blog post, within a sales page or within several blog posts. So it creates that connection. It also creates coherence. So because usually most people are not going to get to know us by just listening to one thing. They're going to pay attention to multiple things that we share, and there needs to be coherence between all of them. And of course, having this unity and having this coherence, having this clarity in what your key message is, really helps to create your connection with your audience. And so this is the foundation that we're using for this Flower of Life marketing strategy. Is we want to be able to develop this. So think about what makes you unique, what makes you memorable. So when you create this coherence and unity, you're going to be sharing what makes you unique, what makes you memorable. And as one of my clients who is in the audience, Karen, shout out to Karen, she works with resonance, right? Really helping clients develop the resonance in their business. So one of the things that you want to focus on is by having this message, by doing this strategy that we're going to be focusing on, then what you're going to be doing is helping to develop that resonance in your business, in your writing, in your message, and then ultimately out to your audience. So then the next part is thinking about your goals. So what are your goals? And you may have one major goal that you want to focus on, or you may have several. And here I'm going to give you enough room in the handout that I give you where you can focus on 4 different goals, but you may not have that many, or you may have more than 4. So of course, if you have more than 4, you can break these up into several sections. So this is the next section. So when you think about your goal, think about, okay, what are some freebies that you want to offer? What are your offers? Maybe your programs, your courses, maybe events that you want people to attend. If you're holding a retreat, that would be an event. If you have a workshop, that would be an event. Or maybe you have products that you want your audience to know about. So your goals really are all of these, or part of your goals are all of these offers that you want to get out there. More goals could be, for example, having so many followers on your social media. So that could be a goal. So one of the things that you want to establish for your content is what is it that you're trying to do with that content. That's going to be very important in the plan that you create. So then the next part is then we're going to focus on the actual content creation methods that are available and which ones resonate with you. So not all content creation methods resonate with everyone. So you want to think about, how do I communicate best? What's really fun for me? What do I enjoy doing? So for example, you can think of how do you receive messages from your guides? So are you more of a clairvoyant where you get images? So maybe working with images would be better. Are you clairaudient or you're able to talk well with people? So maybe using a format that allows you to speak. Or maybe if you are more introverted, you want to focus more on writing and develop your message that way. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is what are the different methods of content creation and which ones really work for you. And so what you want to do is you want to give yourself permission to work on the methods that work for you. So if something doesn't work for you, then don't use it, or at least don't start there, so that the actual creation of the content is something that you're going to enjoy and you're going to want to do, because it's going to be very important. And then those of us that, all of us that work with energy, we know that we energetically encode the stuff that we're working on. So if we're in a really low vibe because we really don't enjoy it, then that's going to be encoded in that piece of content. And that's something that we really don't want. And so then others, when they experience that content, they're going to feel that vibration and they're going to feel that disconnect. So it's good to focus on creating content in a way that really aligns with who you are. So what keeps you in a high vibe? And then the last piece that we're going to be focusing on is how are you going to share? So sharing is as important as creating the content. So once you have part of your plan is going to be thinking about what are your favorite methods of sharing your content. So again, you're going to choose those that align with you. So just because there may be 10 different social media accounts that you have doesn't mean that you want to focus on all of them. You may want to start, especially if you're new, you may want to start with maybe a couple of them. And then as you get comfortable, then expand the amount of platforms that you're working with. Okay, so this is the basics kind of the flower of life kind of paradigm of content creation. So what we're going to do is we're really going to go through each one step by step and giving you some opportunity to work with those. So now I do have a PDF prepared for you. So if you want to download the PDF, you can go ahead and type in as a comment, type in flower of life with no spaces, just everything together, and it can be lowercase. So just type flower of life as a comment, and then you should receive an automatic message that asks you to respond to make sure that you are okay with receiving the PDF. We want to make sure that we have your permission for this, and then you will that'll prompt and a little autoresponder that'll send you the PDF right in your messenger so that you can download it directly on Messenger, and it'll open when you launch it. It should open in a new tab, so you'll have it there available, so you can if you're on your computer, you can watch the presentation, and then you'll have the PDF available in the other tab. And then of course, if you want to print it out and you have a printer easily accessible, you're welcome to print out the PDF, because then that allows you to actually write your information onto the PDF. But of course, that's not necessary. You can write on your own paper and then move along that way, just taking notes on your own paper and following along. So if you have, so I'm going to give you just a minute or so to make sure that you do have access to the PDF. So again, I'm not receiving any comments, which is so disappointing. Okay, so I'm getting that my sound is echoing. I'm wondering if it's echoing for everyone. And like I said, for some reason, I'm not able to hear or to see your comments. So let's see if that works with the echo. If you can let me know whether the echo is gone. So I have several pieces of technology in front of me, so any one of these could be creating that echo. Okay, great. So it seems like the sound is okay for most people. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. Is there, if you are hearing an echo, what you might want to make sure is that you don't have the video open in several tabs. What happens is sometimes we get ready for it and we click on it and it's open in a tab, and then we open another tab and then we have two videos going on at the same time, and then that causes the echo. So that may be part of it. So if you did not receive, I'm going to go ahead and post. So I've gotten a message that not everybody received the download for the PDF. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and post the link to that download again. So this is going to take you to my website. So it's not going to be as clear. So you'll be able to download it from there, but you will need to probably open another tab. So I am getting these messages. So let me go ahead and comment. So I'll put it, if you didn't receive it, like I said, I will be putting it in one of the comments or as a comment in the video as soon as my computer lets me add a comment. Okay, so it seems like maybe the issue with the video was a comment, was a having several tabs open at the same time. So I will be sharing the link to the PDF. So I always like experimenting with new technologies. And so I am trying out this ManyChat, which is the bots for the automatic messages, but apparently it doesn't work all the time. And so that's not good because we want it to work. And so I know that they're having, because it's a new, fairly new it's service that they have, and so it's still sometimes glitchy. So I did add it to the comments. So you should be able to then just click on it, and let me go ahead and pin it at the top so that then you can see it. It'll be at the top and you can just click on it and you can download it. So like I said, so I'm going to be taking you through the process of this Flower of Life kind of content marketing plan. And we really want to establish this foundation at the beginning. So I want you to just take a few minutes, and we're going to start with who you are. And, you know, the teacher voice in me is saying that I need to give you a little bit of time to download that document because I'm moving way too fast. I'm remembering my students raising their hands and saying, wait, I don't have my stuff ready yet. So, so I can see you all doing that in my mind's eye. So I'm just going to hold on just a few more seconds here and give you a chance to come back with and I'm trying to read. I was finally able to get the comments open, so now I can see your comments. Awesome. Thank you, Carolyn, for being here. Suzanne. Suzanne helped me beta this workshop, so I'm really thankful to her and the feedback that she has given me. And thank you, Jason and Gail, for being here. Angela, Karen, Linan. So I am really. So how does this resonate? The flower of life. I know that for me, the flower of life resonates so much. And when I saw it developing, and I was sketching what I wanted to share with you, and then all of a sudden I saw it as the flower of life, and it's just like, this is perfect. This is so I was super excited when this dropped, and I easily everything came together. So I'm really excited about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. So one of the things that you want to start with, and you always want to start with, so remember that in the flower of life, we start from the center and then move out. So when you are thinking about regular marketing strategy, right? Regular marketing training tells us we need to go do research. We need to go do research. And not that research is not valuable, but in this, the paradigm that I am sharing with you today is really starting at the center. So of course we are the center, right? We are the center of our business. So that is what we need to focus on. So here, what I want you to just jot down is, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to do this. So what is the experience that you bring to the table? What is some of knowledge and expertise that you come with? And of course, this could be knowledge like book knowledge, or this could be academic knowledge that you bring to the table. It could also be workforce if you were in a different industry. So that knowledge is going to be very valuable. If you have volunteered for nonprofits and so on, that knowledge is also valuable. You also want to think about your worldview. So what is your perspective on the world, on spirituality, on, connecting with the divine? All of that is part of you. That's part of what you are bringing to what you're sharing with your audience. And then, of course, you always want to think of your training. What other training have you done? Because we are always building on what we learn from other people. And then, of course, you want to think about your personal life and your private life. If you have kids, if you're married, if you're single, or whatever your experience is. Do you deal with difficult parents or with wonderful parents, or whatever that is? You want to bring that experience into consideration. And of course, you may decide later that you don't want to use it, which is perfectly fine. But you want to think of you is everything, right? You is not just your credentials. You is not just being a mom, right? You have a lot more that is you. So I'm just going to be silent for about 30 seconds and just give you some time to focus in on these. And remember, you can always come back and add more if you don't have enough time. So I have a message that there is no sound, but I don't know if it's just one person. And it seems like I really do need to get myself a super duper amped up computer so that I can do these lives without glitches, because part of it is that I don't have enough memory on my computer to do what I want to do. Okay, well, I had just gotten a comment from Angela that the sound kind of went out, so I'm hoping it's okay with everyone. So as you're working on this, one of the things, so let me share for you, with you, how I would answer this. So of course, I answered this a little bit at the beginning, I think when there was no sound, but when my experience, so I have these over 20 years as an educator, and so I've taught high school students and I've taught college students. I've also, so as an English teacher, as a writing teacher, so all of that, I bring in all that expertise and knowledge. I'm also, like I said, I'm early adopter for anything technology. So I have a lot of tools that I can use and that I can strategize with. So I can bring those into the fold. I also, as in terms of the spiritual training that I've received, I'm a Reiki master, and then I also work with the Akashic Records. I've done EFT training. I've also worked a lot with crystals and with essential oils. And there's more a lot with energy. I'm really working now, integrating magic into the work that I do. And so all of this really encompasses who I am and what I want to share with my audience. And so that's where the tagline or the title, A Spiritual Techpreneur, came from, is me really looking at my the wholeness kind of my identity and trying to incorporate as much of that as possible. So let's go ahead and move on. So if you haven't had enough time, then of course you will be able to come back to this. And there is one of the pages that focuses on this. So once you know what your once you have a handle of what it is that you want to share about your own experience and your own background, the next thing is to focus on what is your message. So what are those keywords? You can think of energy. If you follow, for example, Danielle Laporte, she talks about focusing in on the core desired feelings. I think that's the way she mentions them. If so, other people talk in terms of use other terminology. But here, basically, what you're doing is you're determining what your message is. And in a sense, you can think of your business as like this big message that you're trying to create. So of course, I'm thinking as a writing teacher. So when I'm teaching students on writing an essay, for example, or writing a story, there always needs to be something that they want to communicate with their reader. And so that something is going to be your message. So now if you don't have a mission statement for your business already drafted, of course, you don't have to worry about that. It's okay, right? If you have a mission statement, then you can go to that mission statement. So that's another very old paradigm way of looking at business, is determining your mission statement. And if you have one, that's great, because you can use the keywords from that mission statement. But if you don't have a mission statement, don't think, oh no, well now I have to go spend hours creating a mission statement. Nope, you don't have to do that. Just focus in, what are those keywords? What are those words that you keep coming back to, those energies that you keep coming back to? So for me, I knew technology is a big component, and looking at everything like a technology. So I have a broader sense of what tech is to me. So it's not just a computer, but any tool that we use to me is a technology. So to me, technology is one of my keywords. And then another is spirituality, right? And having that one-on-one connection with the divine. So that's another concept. So you can think of words, or you can think of phrases. You can think of energy. So is it, what is the energy that you want to feel as you are working with clients, as you're working on content for your audience? So for me, one of those keywords is feeling connected. And so that is really important for me. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time, and so you can jot down just keywords and have that be intuitive. You know, and if you only can come up with one or two, that's okay, right? Then you can always come back to add a few more later. So I was thinking about putting some music in the background so that I could kind of play it as you worked, so that there wouldn't be silence, because, you know, it's kind of strange going through this experience of giving this workshop and then having to be silent. As a teacher, when I'm in front of the classroom, then I can see students working and thinking, and but here there's kind of not that input. So I think one of the things I'm going to do is, now that I have my comments up, I'm going to have you share what some of your keywords are. Then that way, at least I'm getting something from you, and I can respond to it. So yes, Carolyn is asking if you can use your sacred soul qualities here. You can use them, or you can use them to get inspired, because remember that what we're talking about here is what your message is for your audience. So some of the qualities may not necessarily talk about what your message is per se, but it may give you an understanding of how you want to create. So yes, so for Suzanne, for example, transformation is one of your key words, right? So yes, and so shamanic or shamanism, because since you do focus on that is art and creativity. Yes, so all of those are key words that are part of your message. Now, eventually you would want to have, and a lot of us have this kind of on our website, we have a tagline, or we have a sentence of what it is that we do with clients, what our work is. And so if you do have one of those, for example, you could go and pick the words that most resonate from that sentence. So that is something that you can use. So thank you, Suzanne, for sharing your keywords. Linan, transformation and alchemy. Yes. Gail, angel, psychic development, mediumship, angel guidance. Yes, perfect. So those are yes, your messages or your keywords. And then, of course, as you are writing, if that doesn't mean that just because you have these as your keywords, you never want to write about anything else. But one of the things that you want to think about is how can you embed that concept or that word into anything that you write, so that then you become known for that. So for example, I could make sure that everything that I write always somehow includes the word spiritual techpreneur. So then I become known for that. So yeah, so you want to always be thinking about how you can include those words. So those words may not necessarily be the focus of what it is that you're creating, but you're always going to fold them in. So the image that I'm getting is the somebody who really has a favorite color, and they always like wearing that favorite color. So even if whatever it is that they wear, you know, they put it they put it in their hair, or they wear it in a necklace or in a brooch, or it's either part of their top or it's part of pants or skirts or shoes or accessories, but they always need to have that color because it's something that they really resonate with. So you want to think of these keywords as not just part of your message, but it's going to be something that makes that cohesion in what the content that you create. Okay, so hopefully everyone already had some time to jot down a few of your words, and hopefully at least the major words, right? So you have, even if you don't have all of them, you do have a concept of what some of those are. So it could be energy, or it could be guidance, or it could be technology, or it can be marketing, and that's what you do, or whatever it is that your business focuses on. So again, here your message is also, you can think of those as keywords or energies. You can think of it as a phrase, so it doesn't necessarily need to be just one word. And you want to, when you consider all of these words together, remember that what they're doing is establishing and creating that unity coherence so that you can make that connection with your audience. And when you establish that, then that's going to make you unique, and it's going to make you memorable to your audience, which is what you want. You want your readers to remember you, right? And you want your readers to remember you in connection to those energies or those keywords, in connection to your message. So so that, for example, for me, if I say, well, I know that somebody is looking to focus on art and shamanism, well, I know someone who focuses on that, right? Because that's unique, that's memorable, and I can automatically share that with others. So you want to think about how this is not going to happen, of course, with one piece of content that you create, but that's why we're talking about a strategy, because it's going to be ongoing. And so once you have 10 pieces, 20 pieces, 50 pieces, right, depending on how much content you create, then that's going to, these keywords, these messages will kind of serve as an umbrella that will, as a container for all of the content that you create, and creating that connection. Okay, so next we're going into thinking about your goals. So what your goals for your business are. So when you think about your goals, you want to think about, what is it that you want? I mean, we're in business. That means that we want our clients to enroll in our courses, to purchase our products, to maybe sign up for our freebies, to attend our retreats. So what I want you to do is, I want you to write down, so what are your goals? Your goals can also be, and here you want to think of these goals as the arrival point for your audience. So it's not so much, oh, I want to earn $25,000, or I want to have a $1 million business. Those are good goals. But in terms of our content strategy, when we talk about our content is always leading someone in a journey towards some sort of destination. And so you want to think of each of your offers as a destination for your clients. So what do you have? And you may not necessarily have these already done. So you could say that you are you're going to be creating it, right? So you know that it's going to be done in 3 months, or however long you are going to be working on it. So, but you have an idea where you want to lead them. Then go ahead and write that down. So what are some of these offers that you already have? So if you have, for example, if you have just gotten started in your business and you don't have a lot of offers yet, then you might think about the freebie that you have, right? So just because now I have four little bubbles here on this diagram, and so you can always add more. And of course, you can always leave some blank, right? If you don't have enough, and then come back and add them later. But the idea is to know that these offers that you have, of course, must be congruent with your message and must be congruent with you, right? So because you're at the center. And so whenever, one of the reasons why we're calling this a strategy is because we're not developing content just to develop content to put it out there. We're developing content in a very intentional way. And so we want to make sure that we're bringing in people to hear our message because we want them to engage with our business somehow. And usually that engagement means enrolling in an offer or purchasing a program or something like that. So I'll give you a few minutes to write those down. So this workshop will be available as a recording for you to access for at least 24 hours. So if you are coming in late or if you need to head off early, you can always come back and view the rest of it. Remember that there is a pinned message that has the PDF, so you are more than welcome to download that PDF, which helps to guide you through the process of creating your strategy, or following this process of using the and let's see, I got a couple of messages. Okay, so good. So like I said, this is going to be available if you need to come back to it. So we're going to go ahead and move on. And so just to reiterate, remember that what we're doing is creating a path or journey for our clients, right? Or for our audience. And we want them to get to a certain point. So here, the X would be, we're trying to get them to enroll in our course, or we're trying to get them to sign up for our freebie, or we're trying to get them to join our membership program. So it's really important that we have a sense of the path that we want to lead our clients through. And so the path here, one of the things that you want to consider is in what order do you want your clients to experience this path? And it's okay for you to say, well, there's really no order. They can go from 1 to 5 and then back to 2 and then up to 7 and then back to 3. That's okay, as long as you know that. As long as you know that, yes, it's sequential. So they need to go to 1 and then to 2 and then to 3. Or no, they can go in whatever order. That's fine too. But it's important that you know that, because if there is a particular path, if there is an order to the programs or the offers that you want them to enroll in, then you want to keep that in mind as you are creating your content. So if you always want them to start with offer number 1 and then from there they move on to the others, then that means that that is one that you want to focus a lot of your content creation on, is bringing people into that particular offer. So just, you don't have to decide now in what order your different offers are, but you do want to make a note if you do want them in a particular order, or if you don't, so that you can come back and see how that's going to affect what you create. And like I said, it usually has much more of an impact if you do want an order than there is an impact. If you don't really mind, like they can go in whatever way, then of course there's much less that you need to consider as you're creating content, because everything basically is available. But that's something that you want to keep in mind. Okay, so now that you have a sense of your you have a sense of your message, you have a sense of the offers, where you want to lead your clients to. Now let's think about some themes that you could use to create content. So I am going to suggest that you focus on creating content as a theme versus just doing whatever comes, because when you have a theme, then that could be part of that path that you're leading your clients to. So themes, and then themes also allow you to get inspired by when you're working, and to make connections between your content. So now your themes could be themes that are timely. That means that it's something that's going on in the world. They could be just themes that are interesting to you and that you want to, let's say that you know that you're going to be offering something on, you're going to be offering a program on dealing with difficult family situations, and you're going to launch that for, let's say, the holidays. Well, you can then, as you start preparing for that launch, you can say, well, one of the themes that I want to cover is family dynamics. So that's a theme that I'm going to have, because then I can mention the fact that I'm working on this offer that's going to be coming down the line. So these things could be relevant to an offer that you have that's coming, or an offer that you currently have now. So if you have a course, for example, that teaches people how to communicate with their guides, then you can use that and say, okay, well, what could be a theme that I can focus on for my content that could lead my audience to that offer of that course on how to communicate with their guides. Now, you don't have to have themes, but one of the reasons why I recommend themes is because it develops that cohesion and that unity, so that you already are developing that with your keywords. But then if you have the themes, and more than likely when you have a reader and they come in to read something, let's say about family dynamics, well, they're probably going to be interested in that topic. And because you created it as thematically, and having a theme means that you're going to focus on the same theme for more than one piece of content. So that means when you have brought someone in to your, let's say, to your blog, and they're reading one of your articles on family dynamics, well, you also have 3 more, because a whole month you focused on family dynamics, and they can go to these other articles as well. So that's one of the benefits of having a theme. So what I want you to do is, before we move on to the content type, is kind of write down a few ideas for themes that you could focus on. And especially if creating a content calendar is fairly new to you, you can just focus on themes that are interesting to you, right? You don't have to consider timeliness, or you don't have to consider relevance to an offer, because eventually you still want to connect it to an offer, but you want to start with something that's interesting. So you can always then, of course, move and expand from there when you're doing your content plan for other quarters. And I usually recommend having one theme per month. So that means that for July, you would have one theme. So for example, a theme could be independence, right? Because we have the 4th of July. Then you can have a theme in August. So a theme in August could be back to school, because that's when kids go back to school. And then you can have another theme in September for something else. So like I said, you could have those timely, like I mentioned, like 4th of July and back to school, but you don't have to have them that way. They can just be whatever themes you want. You could also have a theme for the whole quarter. So you could say, well, I want to really I have this one course on learning to communicate with your guides. And so that's the only thing that I have. And so I really want to lead everyone to that path. And so I'm going to focus on one theme. That's perfectly fine too. Just keep in mind that if you get bored easily, then that might not be a very good strategy for you, because you're going to get bored of that theme. Or if you like to be inspired by what's happening in your surroundings, then having something that covers that much time may not be such a good idea. So what I recommend is having for the month, so that at least gives you, if you're creating content every 2 weeks, you have at least 2 pieces that you're going to be creating. If you're creating content once a week, that means that you have 4 pieces that you're going to be creating, depending on how much content you want to create. So themes is a pretty good way of approaching it, because that helps you to develop content that connects with each other, and you can. That's also important for SEO and for linking and all of that stuff, which I'm not going to go into, but it's something that if you have done that, then it's easier for you to use these other strategies as well. So I'm just going to give you just a few more seconds. Finish thinking about themes. So if anyone is done and you'd love to share some of the themes that you are going to be focusing on for this next quarter, then I would love to see them in the comments. So while you share, I will give you an idea of what some of my themes are that are coming up. So one of my themes is focusing on defining technology and what technology means to me, because I think I have a unique perspective on it, because I don't think of technology in such a narrow way. So that's one of my themes. Another one of my themes is magic/magical, and so that is coming in August. And so I am looking forward to what I'm going to be writing there, and I already have some brainstorms. And in September, so for me, because I am still an educator, so I teach college students, September is always the beginning of the semester for us. So I have September as beginnings as my theme. And so, yes, so Carolyn has shared that abundance alchemy is a theme. Yes, perfect. And because, and like I said, you can have a theme be more broad, right? Where it's not just one for 1 month, but for a quarter. So that could be your theme for the whole quarter. So now we're going to move on to, okay, so Gail says that she's been blogging on Mediumship and is thinking of doing a freebie on the stages a soul goes through when they cross over, and a newsletter each week discussing mediumship. Yes, so if your theme is going to be mediumship, then that could be like a theme for the month, or that could be the theme for the quarter. And then you develop content based on that theme. So we're going to give your brains just a little break in thinking about themes. And so we're going to move into a more pragmatic type of choice that you're going to have to make. And I'm referring to the type of content that you want to create. And so here you want to think about what you love to do. So because we're spiritual entrepreneurs, because we work with spirituality, we work with the divine, and we connect with guidance, I would have you, there's resources that you can, quizzes and so on, that you can use to see, well, what type of content is perfect for you. But because we are intuitive, that means that we can intuitively connect to the type of content that helps us to, that brings us joy when we're creating it, right? So, for example, for me, and you will probably guess based on the delivery of this, is that I like to speak. So when I talk things through, I am able to process information much more quickly than if I'm just writing stuff down. So for me, this type of content creation is fun. So I really enjoy it. And it is very productive because I am able to articulate what I want to share in the, by just talking about it. So, so you want to think about, well, what is it that you love to do? Do you love working with images? So are you visual? So so if you have to create an image, you go do that right away because it's very enjoyable. Or do you like to hear things, right? So if you like to hear things, then audio may be better for you. So what I like to think about is thinking about, what is your clair? So do you see images? If you see images, then you're probably visual. So starting with something where you are visualizing, you are creating an image, would probably be helpful. If you really like to do automatic writing as a way of connecting with your guides, then probably writing is going to be something that you enjoy. If you hear your guides talking to you, then probably your auditory. So having that where you're talking may be something that you enjoy to do. So one of the things that you don't want to do is you don't want to focus on content creation that you hate doing, that you procrastinate, that you avoid, that you just don't enjoy, because you're energetically encoding your content with that energy, and you don't want that, right? We don't want to give that energy to anyone who connects with that content. So you always want to start your content creation with something that you really love to do. So that is important. So that doesn't mean, well, then that means I should, if writing is not one of the things that I love to do, that means I should never write. Well, no, right? And so so for example, for me, I don't necessarily enjoy writing, but I can speak it and then it turns into text, or I can speak it and then I can transcribe it. So I will still have the written form, but I don't start there. I start with what is most interesting to me. So if you're really visual, what you could do is you could use an oracle card, and then have the oracle card be your inspiration for what you are writing. You could take a picture and use a photograph as an inspiration for what you are writing. So you always want to start with that type of content that you really love to interact with, because then that means that you're going to be enjoying it. That means that you are going to be very, you're going to want to be in that creation mode. And so that's the energy that you want when you're creating content. So here we want to think about content that keeps you in a high vibe. So what are these methods that keep you in high vibe? So you can write, you can draw, you can talk, you can take photographs, right? You can maybe play some music. And so that is something that you that drives you to create content. So you always want to start with that content that is inspiring for you, because that is, and again, thinking of the flower of life, right? Thinking from the center out. So you always want to start with that inspiration, with that piece that's going to be the inspiration for whatever comes afterward. And then you create all of this other stuff, right? Then you create it once you already have the central thing, the central message of your content for that week, and then you create the other stuff. So that's going to be really important. So think about, I want you to brainstorm, give you a few minutes there, and share if you can on the chat here or on the comments section, what is your favorite form of creating content? Like, what do you really enjoy doing? And have you been doing it the right way, or have you been doing it the wrong way? And I know when I gave myself permission to not have to write everything down, that was a huge relief, because something like, of course, the training that I took said you start with a blog post, and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to start with a blog post, right? I need to start by talking it out, and then I can have my piece of writing. And in fact, I've written sales pages that way. I've written opt-in pages that way. So I've written offers that way, because I like to talk through things. So and of course, the speech to text software really helps me to get it in writing, but I'm talking. So I'm getting a flash. I'm remembering Milton and Paradise Lost, and how he was blind when he was writing it, so he was dictating it to someone else, right? So back when we didn't have this technology, we actually needed somebody else to write it down, because if we were speaking and we didn't want to, we could have somebody else transcribing for us. But now, those of us who have this as a modality that we prefer, now we have this technology, the text to speech, that is really helpful, and I really love to use that. And I will share in the comments one of the coaches that I'm working with now has a little quiz on. She calls it "What Your Content Personality Is," and basically, when you take that quiz, it will give you like what your top methods, your preferences are. So so you can get more details from that quiz, and I'll go ahead and post it in the comments. So, but basically, you could be talking face to face with someone. So if you talk face to face with someone, then that means that you need to really connect with people. You need to probably create opportunities or take advantage of opportunities where you get to talk to people. And for me, I like talking things out, but not necessarily engaging with others, but doing it myself, but out loud. So do you like being alone, or do you like being with others, as you're creating this content? So as much as possible, you want to create an environment that is going to be conducive to this content that you want to create. So if you're not sure yet what your content preferences are, your content creation preferences, then you can look at the link that I'm going to be posting in the group, in the comments here, and then you can go to her quiz, which is really useful. So I went ahead and posted it in the comments, and you can come back to it at later time. Now, choosing this is really important because you want to know what you don't want to be creating content that doesn't feel good, and you don't want to be creating content that you are avoiding creating, right? So you don't want to create a plan where you know from the get-go that you're not going to want to do it because it's stuff that you don't enjoy doing, because then the plan is really useless, right? So you want to start with methods that you're really going to enjoy focusing on. So once you know the type of content creation method, then we're going to focus on the type of content. So as you're going through your PDF, you can see that it gives you some space to think up, to brainstorm. Okay, well, now I need to start brainstorming my content. So I know what my themes are going to be. I know what type of content method I'm choosing. So let's say your images. So, okay, so I'm going to start with an image. I'm always going to start with an image. So if my theme is technology, then what is an image that I can use for technology that's going to spur my creativity, right? That reflects the message that I want to share with my audience for this week. And several things that you want to remember is that you want to develop that know, like, and trust, right? So that is something that we want to come back to, is you want people to know you. You want people to know who you are and know what you offer. You want them to like you. So you want them to connect with you through the content that you're creating. And you want them to trust you, right? So part of this is showing that you're human, showing that you care. So you want to have some pieces of content that are more kind of expert type content. But then you also want to have content that is just you sharing your own process and your experience. And so we see that a lot happening on in social media, where people will share something that's a little bit more formal for their business, and then they'll share what they're having for dinner, right? So maybe you don't necessarily want to share what you're having for dinner if it's not relevant to what it is that you're offering, but you want to share maybe a process that you did, an aha that you had today or this week or recently, so that is, as you're thinking about, well, what do I create? What do I share? You want to go back to these kind of fundamental kind of buckets and know that you are filling them in. So it's not all about what you know. It's not all about your expertise. And even though you do want to have that, but you also want to create this other, show that you're a multidimensional person, right? You're not just about business, but you're also a human, right? You're also a mother, you're also a gardener, or you're also whatever, grandmother. So whatever is part of who you are, you want to include that. And then the key, as you are creating your content, is to come back to your key terms. So before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and give you about a minute to brainstorm some ideas. I know it's kind of just being online like this, a minute seems like a long time, but I'll give you some time to brainstorm some ideas. Now that you have your themes, what are some ideas that you could write about, that some that would fall under the know factor, some that would fall under the like, and some that would fall under the trust? And Karen is sharing that she has found that people love to know about her dinner occasionally, and this is really surprised You well, yes, because that's how I when I started becoming involved with technology and that's with connecting with people in technology, and that's when I started working on my doctoral work, and I was doing it online. And then we had people in our program from all over the country and people in Germany and other places abroad. And so we would connect online. And so there was this huge discussion as to, well, what do we share? What is appropriate for us to share, and when is it too much information? And so I always was a big proponent of sharing the little things, because that I think that the what we consider mundane is a lot of times what helps people connect to us. So we may not consider it important, but and we may think, oh, I only want to share whenever I have this inspirational thoughts or these ideas. And of course you want to do that as well. But our life is made up of these mundane moments, and sometimes sharing something that seems mundane isn't as mundane to the person who you're sharing it with. And so I think that's that, and I think that's part of showing that we're human. And so I think that's really important, which is part of, I think, why people love sharing their dinner, what they're having for dinner. But I know that some people find it annoying and don't like to see what other people are having for dinner. So I think it just depends. I mean, you can experiment with your crowd and see what what they resonate with sharing. And of course, like Karen said, if you do get comments and you do get engagement from those shares, that means people are liking it, right? So and that's a good thing to do. And yes, I agree, Carolyn. Stories of magical synchronicities, yes, those are. I think anytime we share a story is really powerful. And however, in whatever way we decide to share that story, but I think the stories are really powerful content. And Susan, you're sharing your garden and your paintings. Yes. So definitely those would be things. I love seeing your images of your garden, and I don't have anything like that in my backyard. So I like kind of living vicariously through you, because you do that beautiful garden in your backyard. So so yes. And then so I'm going to give you just a few more seconds to think through some ideas. And one of the things that I'm going to be sharing is a list of resources to different articles that have been published online that I find really useful, that you can turn to as a resource, where they have different templates, or they have a list of ideas. Because a lot of times, just not having any ideas in front of us, we draw a blank. But then when we see a list and we start running through the different ideas that somebody else has written, then we get inspired, right? And we may not necessarily copy them, but that opens a flow for inspiration to come in. So having those resources is really useful. So I'm going to be sharing some of that as well. So we are at the 90-minute mark or so. So I wanted to make sure that we do finish under the 2 hours. So I'm going to move forward. And of course, you can always come back to this and continue brainstorming your content ideas. And remember that you can always have many more ideas in the brainstorming session that you do than you need. And sometimes it's easier to just kind of do a brain dump of ideas and then come back and kind of cherry pick the ones that we want. Now, what's really important in terms of content creation is the energy. So that's why what type of content type you start with is going to be really important. So if you love visual, then start with an image, right? And that energy that we embed into that content is so important. And then consistency is key. So this next thing that we're going to be talking about is one way to develop that consistency is through sharing and through repurposing. So sharing, I would say, is as important or more important than the content creation format, because you can, and what I mean, of course, you need to create something so that you can share it. Of course, that's important, but you don't want to be always creating and never sharing, because then that means that no one is seeing it, right? And if you're using your content creation for yourself, then of course that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. But if you are here, it's because you want to use your content creation as a marketing strategy. And the only way that it's going to work for you is if you share it. So that's where the consistency comes in, is the consistency in creating it. But even if you only create one piece of content every month, it's important that you have a consistent way of sharing that content. So we're going to go over that next. So of course, where do you share? Where you share in your social media platforms. And there's a lot of people who say that that really social media is the only place that you should share, that you don't have to worry about building an email list or having it on your website. And I completely disagree with that, because this is not going to happen. Facebook is not going to go away tomorrow, but everybody uses this example, right? If Facebook went away tomorrow and you're only using Facebook for your marketing, then all your content is gone, right? And so you want, your content is yours. Your content is part of your creative activity. Your content is part of your business. And so you want to always have your content on your website. I mean, that should be a non-negotiable. Whether you are shooting photographs, or you are painting and you are taking pictures of your paintings, or whether you're writing inspirational pieces, whatever it is that you do, if you have a podcast that you're just talking, or if you have a video, everything should be posted on your website. You think of your website as the hub of all your creative endeavors that you do. And so when somebody goes and finds you on your website, you want them to have other things to look at. So you don't want to have to send them to Instagram, or you don't want to have to send them to Facebook to look at your other content. So it's important that you always think of, when you think of your website or your blog as the one place where your content will always be, right? Of course, you want to back up your website so that all your content is safe and all of that stuff. But you don't want to only be dependent on the social media platforms, even though social media platforms is where you're going to share and do a lot of your sharing, so you can drive your traffic to your website. So just a little caveat there, because I'm not going to so much mention your website, but that is, to me, it's a non-negotiable. You should be posting it on your website. So one of the things that you want to think about again is what social media platforms do you like being in? Where do you like to hang out? So if you do not like Twitter, do not use Twitter, right? So, and then again, if you are just starting out, I would start with maybe 2 at the most social media platforms, maybe 1 if you are doing Facebook, because Facebook has different ways that you can utilize it. But don't overextend yourself. Don't try to do too many, especially if you're starting out. And then once you develop a system and a pattern and a rhythm and you're pretty good at it, then you can add other platforms. But you want to think about what your favorite methods of sharing content are. So for some of you, it could be live events, that you like going to live events and talking and making presentations and having workshops. It could be Twitter, or it could be Instagram, or it could be Facebook posts, or it could be a Facebook Live like I'm doing here, or it could be YouTube Live if you like YouTube. It could be Pinterest, right? It could be Snapchat. So there's a lot of other social media platforms. So not one is not better than the other. What is important is that you're consistent in your sharing of your content. So once you create it, you need to develop a system in which you're going to be sharing that content. So, and here what you're going to be doing is you're going to be repurposing, right? So if you start by posting it in your blog, then the next time, then you post in your newsletter. And then, or maybe you start with your newsletter first and then go to your blog. It doesn't matter. But like I said, a blog and newsletter, or website and newsletter, should be non-negotiable. You should always be doing that, because newsletter is you are connecting with your list, and your blog is you're keeping it in your main kind of business content container, which is your website. And then let's say, okay, so after I do my blog post, after I do my newsletter, then I do a Facebook Live about that same topic. And because there's some people that are going to listen to me talking versus they're not going to read it. And so that gives you a different audience. Then I could post a Facebook image, because there are some people that really don't like to spend time watching a video, but they will read something when it's connected to something that caught their attention, like an image. Or if you take a quote from your image and then post that as a kind of a snippet on Facebook or on Instagram. So all of these, of course, could be applied to any platform. It doesn't necessarily have to be Facebook. So you could do a short video on Periscope, or you could do a short video on Instagram or on YouTube. And then you could post an image on Instagram. So depending on the platforms that you're going to be using, how you repurpose your content is kind of going to be dictated based on what type of content you like to create and where you like hanging out. And so if you don't like hanging out in Instagram, don't post there, right? Do your stuff on Facebook if that's where you like to be. So it's going to be important that then when you choose whatever it is that you choose, that you're consistent. So don't do Instagram this week and then Facebook next week and then Periscope the next week. No, you want to choose one strategy for your quarter and say, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post on Facebook twice a week. I'm going to post on Instagram once a week, and that's it. So 3 times a week, I'm posting over the same piece of content. Remember, the key is to get readers to your content. And so you need to share it. The person who reads your newsletter is not going to be the same person who watches your Facebook Live, is not going to be the same person who clicks on your Facebook image, is not going to be the same person who's captivated by that short quote. So you want to think about that. All these ways of sharing your content it's the same content. You're just sharing it in different ways to capture the attention of different people. And so the more you share it, the better. Some trainers out there say you should be writing 1 piece of content and then sharing it for 2 weeks and just driving that traffic to that content. But again, if you are just starting, then you really should be creating content a little bit more often. So maybe maybe once a week. So doing it more than once a week may be too much. But then you can use that piece of content and repurpose it in different places. So think about, that's part of that calendar that you are, if you look at the next page if you're looking at the PDF on page 8, The calendar allows you to put your theme that you are going to be focusing on, and then you can write ideas. So what will you do? So let's say I'm doing technology, and then I do week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then I do meditation as a technology. That's going to be my week 1 topic. And then I can do crystals as a technology, and then I can do another technology and another technology. And so then I could say, well, on Monday I'm going to write my blog post, and then on Tuesday I will go ahead and write my newsletter, and then on Wednesday I'll go to Facebook and post it. On Thursday I'll go to Instagram and post it. On Friday I'll post it on Facebook again. Then on Saturday and Sunday I'll share my my blog post. So so you can develop that strategy. And notice that strategy doesn't mean that you're spending all day on social media or all day, all week creating content. It just means that you're purposefully sharing the content that you created, because what you want to get eyes, you want to get an audience for that content. And the only way that you're going to get that audience is by sharing your content. And I'm sorry, Suzanne, I missed your comment on that would help you a lot, and I wasn't sure what that you're referring to. Are you talking about the resources that I'm going to be posting? And if so, then great. Then I will be sharing them on the Facebook page, and I'll come back and comment on this video so that you can also see it. So hopefully everyone already knows where do you like spending time in what social media channel, and you can easily choose which ones you want to focus on. So I gave you a list of a few, so it's not of course an exhaustive list. So there's others. So if there's some certain things that I posted here that I didn't include, then of course include them there. And then choose which ones you're going to use to repurpose your content. And then of course I didn't put blog and newsletter, because to me that's kind of an assumption that you're going to be doing that. But if you want to put them down, a blog and newsletter, then those could be also ways of sharing content. And then in the next page, like I said, on the calendar is where you want to start focusing on what you want to share. Now, if you're the type of person that you create a calendar and then you never use it, then you can just create a structure for yourself, more or less, right? I'm going to share it 3 times in different platforms. So maybe on Monday it'll be Instagram this week, and next week it'll be Thursday Instagram, but I know that I'm using Instagram. So there does need to be some consistency so that your audience gets used to finding you and then starts looking for your content. But if you need that variety so that you can pick and choose, like you don't always want to be doing the same thing on a Monday, then that's perfectly fine. So just establish some parameters for yourself so that you can develop that consistency. So again, you want to focus on when you do share it, you want to share some maybe repurposed by you could, for example, share that if you're working on a video, you could share a snapshot of you working on the video that then you're going to share. So, and that would be more connected to the like and trust factor there. It's more informal. So you want to make sure that you connect these different types of content that you're going to be creating. So again, just kind of to recap, what we focused on is we really looked at content creation as using the flower of life metaphor. And so saying that you are at the center of this of the content that you're creating, and then everything else builds from that. And so the PDF again guides you through the same process that I took you today. And then the last piece, the last page on page 9, I gave you kind of a content creation container. And so on the left-hand side, you are able to write down what is your key message, what are your key words, what is the goal that you are leading people to, what is the theme that you're focusing on for that piece of content, what is your topic, and then some ideas on how you're going to repurpose. And then in the content container, then what you do is you can start brainstorming. And one of the reasons why I did that is because for it to be a strategy, that means that you need to not forget what you established at the beginning. So if you established your keywords, if you established your goal, if you established your theme, when you're creating your content on the right, then you want to always have those pieces present and in front of you, so that you don't have to go look for them, right? So one of the things that you could do is you could create like a little note card that has all of these pieces of information, so that anytime you're going to start a new content, another piece of content, you have these pieces in front of you. So in the handouts that I gave you, they're on different pages. So once you have them all, organized and you finish, then you can transfer them onto one piece of paper so that you can have it available for you anytime that you are, anytime that you're creating content. Because if I wrote an article today on how meditation is a technology, I do want to consider what my theme, what my keywords are, what my theme is, what is it that I want to focus on, what do I want to invite my audience to experience. So I want to invite them to experience a meditation, perhaps that I have as a download, or I want them to purchase a course where I delve more about different tools for using meditation, or however that connects with whatever it is that I am doing. I want to make sure that I always connect that. So I'm not just going to write about this awesome topic, but I'm going to connect it to what it is that I do. And that's the basically connecting the outside petals of the flower of life to the central petals. And so you want everything to be connected versus having the outside ones disconnected, and not really linking back to your content. So once you do the process for 1 month, of course, you can do the process for the next month, and then you can do the process for the next month. And I would keep it very loose. Give yourself room to get inspired. Leave yourself provide a structure, especially if you really thrive on structure and deadlines. Provide a structure and give yourself deadlines. But if you don't, then leave the flexibility in your calendar so that you can get inspired, and so that you can include some flexibility in your calendar. Because if it's too lockstep and you rebel when you have structure, then don't make it so structured that you're going to rebel and then not do it, because then you're not getting the most benefit from your content calendar. So we're just under the 2 hours, which is what I was hoping for. And I know I kind of went a little fast here at the end and didn't give you really time to focus on working on the full month. But this is really something that you do need to take your time with. So since you've been brainstorming and may have some ideas down already, see how you want to organize them. Think about what that would be. Give yourself some ideas, and then come back and do the content, the calendar portion for each of the months. So finish or create one for what is we still have left in July, and then create one for August and July, August, September, which is the next quarter. So I really hope that looking at the content calendar as a flower of life was really helpful for you, and you were able to see how all of this is connected. And if you and this motivates you to create a content calendar for your business that really helps you to get your message out there and to connect with your audience, to really lead your audience to the offers that that you have available for them, and that you continue using it every quarter, because basically the foundation pretty much stays the same. So you can continue using the all the foundation that you already established in the first part of this workshop, and you can continue using it every quarter. So again, thank you so much for being here. I hope this was really helpful. I would love for you to share some pictures of your of the handouts if you are writing on them. If you can share some pictures of what you wrote down. Come back and ask me any questions. If you have any questions as you're working on the calendar and something, a question comes up that I didn't necessarily respond to during the workshop, then please feel free to come in and ask a question. So I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. So again, thank you so much for being here for this workshop. I know there was several of you who stuck through the almost 2 hours. So thank you for being such great fans. And I hope that this is something that you can implement right away and that you can continue using as part of your marketing strategy for many, many years to come. And I hope that you will continue seeing this whole metaphor of the flower of life developing more as I develop it more fully in the next several months. So again, thank you for being here, and have a great rest of the week and great weekend.